Everybody, thanks for stopping in Arch's Garage. And in this video, all right, we're going to be dealing with belts. Now, let me explain. So, if you have an older machine, and this one is an older, like an MTD style machine with a nice big, Tecumseh, these range between 8 and 10 horsepower. That's a stout engine, stout machine. And it's got belt issues. So I'm going over this machine and I want to make it nice for the customer. And of course, at some point, you're going to have to do belts on an older machine. It's just going to happen. And when you go to do them, you may already be experiencing problems of why did I just put a new belt on and it died right away? Why is it throwing belts? I've got a couple of videos that talk about that. I also have one where I actually do a sort of a slow motion, right? Sort of to see how much it's wobbling and what's going on. So in this video, I really don't know what's going on until I figure it out. And that's the process and the story I want to show you guys and what I do, right, to kind of figure out, well, what the heck is going on? Because I've never seen a machine before. Regardless of how it was from the factory, it's been years down the road, and you'll get to a point with almost any machine, and as a mechanic or as a homeowner wanting to go play around with it, right, let's just say, you're a mechanic, you don't usually do this stuff, and you want to try to figure it out, I want to point out some things to take a look at. So let's take the ride together down the road to figuring out how to kind of put this machine back to right. And like I said, this video is just the belt. So this thing, got all purdied up and gussied up and everything, and the customer is very, very happy. Let's get started on it. I'll see you guys there. All right, so I'm just about ready to do the belt, right? We're going to be working on this belt in here. So what I've done is I've removed all of the bolts from the case here, except for this one down here. I'm going to loosen this one up, bring it to the end, right? The nut to the end of the threads. I've already done that over here. Okay. Got my light ready. I got something to shove underneath. I've disconnected this handle because I'm not sure how far back I want to take it, and I don't want it cocking on me. And I got one shoved over here. So let's get ready and we're going to split it. I'll get out a screwdriver and we'll be ready to go. So I think it's pretty stable. I'm going to shove something there. Get my screwdriver. Let me take the plug out, make it easier to, first of all, it's safer. But if I want to turn the engine over, right, it's going to make it a lot easier to do so. Probably if I just pull this back, and it comes right off. I just want to show you. Let me get the other camera. So I want to show you that. I just literally reach in there and peel it off. Okay, because the other camera can't see it. I just reach in here, pull this back, and just carefully pull this belt off the top pulley. And now I'll work it from back there. Now it might be a little difficult to get off because you see you got this guy in the way, right? But we could probably remove that and make a little bit of room. Let me see how I want to handle it, right? These are a little bit more difficult. So at this point now, I can actually grab the belt and it'll actually come past that rubber wheel. I don't know how well it's focusing. The rubber wheel, this is the actual friction plate that wheel rides up against. So when you're in, I have it in first gear and we're in neutral. So I can just pull it up and now I can snake it out. It'll come out, okay? And we just want to check to make sure this could be a little tighter. There's that bolt over there. We want to check that bolt right there. See it? Let me turn on a little bit more light. See that? That's a little bit of wobbly. His spring's not in great shape, but we'll lubricate it. It looks like it's still viable. Spin the pulley, grab the pulley, see if it's okay. This could be a little tighter or something. We want to check that, but it needs to be lubricated. But seems to be working well otherwise. Right, this we know, we already checked this. This is the friction plate. That bearing is fine. If you want, you can spray a little lube down in there, right? It won't get on the friction material or anything. Now's a good time to do it. There's no bottom on right now, so we can do that. All right, and I'll find a belt for it. This is not the right belt, so we got to find a belt and see if we have one. If not, I got to order it, and we'll be back. All right, so now we're going to get at, I got at the other belt. So this is real easy to do with the case split, is push this forward, right? This is the tensioner, and that keeper will come out of the way. This is the keeper I was telling you about. See it down in there? Right, I know it's hard, but see it? That's the keeper I was telling you about. And it only goes over the one belt, the main belt. So we're only going to be putting one belt on. And this is where you want to put, just push it out of your way to get the belt off. And this is where you want to also put some good lubricant. So let's get that on now. All right. And then we're going to lube these bearings too while we're here. We'll put a little bit on this side. Now I'm using a chain and cable lube because it's going to go in. It'll get into those seals, right? It'll get in past those seals. Yeah, they're a little bit dry, but there's no play, right? Nothing excessive here. This is common to have a little bit. It's not a precision thing. And then I want to put a little bit of chain wax on these springs, on that spring. I've already lubricated all up in here. We got a newer belt on. It's a little bit smaller. It should be fine. And then we're also going to put some chain wax, and even you could also white grease in here, right? Spray white lube, lithium. Let me see what else I can say. And if you can druze back into this bearing down in here, right? The bearing point. You can druze some cable lube down in that too, which we'll probably do that, like, because it's going to make a mess, so I want to be able to paint. This is normal wear, right? That's one of the problems with stuff like this. I'll show you on the other side. That's common as they wear. You can fix that. That's in this bushing. Two ways to fix this, okay? You can replace this bracket and with a smaller hole. See that bracket here? Let me try to get you in a better spot, see? All right, that causes some issues with the transmission. It's not as nice. There might be some wear on that shaft. What I would do is I would replace this whole bracket here, if you can get it. And if you can't get it, you can bush it. You can put a steel bushing in there. So I'm going to tell him that if he has any issues, we can take this off. I can bush this here. I can either bush the shaft, or I can bush this bracket, tack it with some weld, ream it out a little bit, and tighten this up. All right, but it's because it's putting a little bit more stress on the belt. So I got a little different belt in there. I'll show you in a little later what belt I used. It is a used belt, but it's a lot of my belts that I keep. Right, they're like either brand new or they've only been run for a little while, and then of course I check them thoroughly, and if we're going to test it. I just cleaned it off too. So we got to find some belts for him. So I'm just going to slip everything underneath here, working from the top. And unfortunately this belt is a little bit, like, I don't like it when belts get weird like that. Right? So we got to get it on. So one way to get it on is to push this forward and try to get it on down here first. Just trying to jump the pulley. I can see it down there. You probably can't, but I can see it. But you can see kind of what I'm doing, pushing it forward, trying to get the belt around. And this is causing a problem just because it's got that weird shape on the belt. What's nice is I can work it. And I can see where I am. There we go. Now that belt keeper is holding the belt on the outside pulley. Excuse me, inside. Well, we'll call it the inside pulley, right? Because it's the one furthest. And it looks like I have it around, and I can feel it. It's fitting in there. All right, and now that feels about right, fellas. It fits okay in the bottom pulley. Honestly, it sticks out a little bit. I'm not really happy with that, but it does have a keeper down there. All right, now we're going to put the case back together. You can see, what the setup is like. We're going to try putting the case back together again. So once again, I'm going to shove it together, and I got this little piece of wood over here so it doesn't disappear on me. And I'm going to put the bolt and the washer in because, this might be the last time. So at least that far, all right? And then I'm going to see if I can get it around that top pulley. Remember, the original belts stretch. So, just guiding it. It still feels tight. What's going on? We'll find out. All right, she's on. Now, it's also new. So that kind of feels right. All right, this one's working okay. All right, that feels fine. Let's check the other one. I think it could be looser, but the only way we're going to know is we got to run it. And yeah, that feels a little bit too tight. So if this one doesn't work, we'll come back and we'll do it again. But we need to really test it. Oh, wait, I see something else wrong here. All right, so we have to get this cable on that pulley back there. And it's not on properly. All right, so I have a bunch of belts I dug out. So this was the original one. And it's got a bunch of cracks in them. So it's no good, but I got one just like it. And it seems to be the same length. And I have a couple of them. This one's a little bit better. It's used, but it's mint. So I got two of them. I got this guy as well. And you can see the way it lays in is better. Personally, I like these belts. I just do. And this one is, I'm going to look it up. It's a 200320015. So I want to look this one up and see what it is. I'll be right there. All right, so I threaded everything in. I threaded a knot in over here. And I've got the belt threaded down in. You notice the way it's fitting? I also fixed the cable. No, did I fix the cable? No, it came back off. Hold on. I gotta make sure that cable's on. The cable's on the pulley. Case is basically held together. And you'll see, right? Look at the way. You're not fighting it. And you see how that is there? Now the top cover, right? See how it lays? It lays properly in the grooves. I like that one. I'll call that done. Okay? Yeah, definitely. And when we tighten the case up, you'll see. Right? Now, let me pull the handle down, see if I can get to both of these things. Hold on. Hold on. It ran off. It ran on the other pulley. Yeah, something's making it. There, is it popping off? No, she wants to come off. Isn't that weird? That's what I mean. There's nothing to really hold these. See? It's trying to roll. It's trying to roll off. Yep, it's trying to roll to the next guy. There's no real adjustment on any of this. There's a little bit of an adjustment up here. So I want to see maybe if that helps. I'm going to play around with it a little bit more. But I see it. I see it over here. It's actually trying to roll down here. I don't know if you can see where my fingers are, but I can see it. All right, so the clutch is pulled in. Can you see it? See how it's walking off? See, those belts are ready to like roll right up. All right, I got the starter here, electric starter. Plug is out, and we have the clutch pulled in. So those belts are tight. See how it's running off? That'll make the belt come off. So let me see. I already tried tweaking it with a crowbar and stuff, but she's still leaning. So I got to bend that. We may have to take this pulley off no matter what. Let me see what I got to do. So I think the other problem too, and I managed to tweak this with a big monkey wrench, right? Pipe wrench. I'll show you that in a bit. So I tweaked it, but it's still doing its thing. And I think one of the problems is this pulley is too far back. I want to put it on its face and climb underneath here and see if we can loosen up the motor a little bit. It may have moved. So if we can shove the motor forward a little bit, and just a little, I think it might cure the issue. Let me find out. All right, I think it moved. I'm just going to give it a whack. The motor was not particularly tight. I'm going to give it a whack here with a drift. Right on that, and probably the other side. And then retighten. And then we'll take a peek and see. Right, the bolts are easy to get to on this model. Some of the newer models, forget it. And some other models. And then another whack here on this shoulder. Right, just with a drift. And then I'll check it. We'll tighten it back up and put it down. I'll take a peek. All right, I'm going to put it down. I just wanted to mention that I put a new bolt in here. And I also had one of these. He lost a bolt, but he also lost this thing. Right, that's a special spreader. Right, that's used. A number of machines use a spreader like that when you're trying to push in and tighten up something that's a handlebar or a round surface. You need that. Just the bolt itself won't do it. So we got a nice bolt in there. Good to go, and let's go see what we did. All right, so I got the pulley system apart, which is nice. Let me see what I can do with this. Maybe I can put a spacer on the shaft, and then when I'm ready, I'll put some no-sees on that too. And let me see what I can do. Maybe we can just shove it over a little bit more. I put a washer in here. Retighten everything up. Put some nice, lube on that. No C's. I took out this one washer so like the threads could go in a little bit further, because we don't need it. At the big heavy washer there, it's all tight. This has been tweaked a little bit, and look, I just ran it, and it's perfect. Let me show you. Yeah, that's nice. That's as good as we're gonna get it, guys. Let's put a little no-sees on all those studs, right, so the next person can get it off. So I tweaked everything with the rigid, which also helps me to grab the shaft here. Just kind of tweak this a little bit this way, and then back a little bit too. So that's fine. What else did I do? Big screwdriver, and a pry bar, and just a little bit of fun. All right, I'll be back. All right, so that's a success. And like I said, the customer's very happy. Now, that one segment where I show maybe trying to move the motor forward, I could have continued along that line, but I figured let me take it to another level. It did move forward a little bit, but not enough. And it might also be you may have to move it backwards. Now, these motors come out real easy. And you can see if those bolts loosen up, and these did, might want to check them for tight too. Yeah, you can slot that, whatever, and maybe come backwards or go forwards, which is also a scenario if you're replacing a motor. But you see, that is a fix. And if you run into an issue where you can't get that pulley to move, that's a fix too. Maybe you can't find a washers or something. I don't know, whatever. It's just options, fellas. And just when you're looking closer, things get bent. No, the pulleys could be fine, like bearing-wise and everything, but things get bent, levers get bent, stuff gets askew. Just take a closer look and take a step back. Think about what belts you want to use. Another thing, too, with a lot of machines, and I don't often mention this, but a lot of guys do, some manufacturers play these little games. They'll be like a common belt would be like, let's say, just throw a number, 16 inches. Well, they'll be like 16.5. And then like a common number for another belt might be 35 and a half, right? And they'll be like 35 and 7/8, right? And sometimes they just play these games with belts, and it can be difficult to find a replacement belt or just use a more common size, and you put it on there and you're like, what the heck? There's ways to work around this stuff, fellas. And so good luck on the project you're working on. And don't forget to hit the at least the like and subscribe button, or the like button, leave a comment. It helps build the channel. Us YouTubers rely on you guys to do that, and that's how we manage to stay going and moving forward, and maybe even make a buck or two on this so that we can keep bringing content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Check out some of my other videos, and thanks for watching this episode at Archer's Garage.